Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mrs. Richards, roll call, please.
Yes, good evening, President Schultz. Members of the board, let the record show that all 5 members are present this evening.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Team building.
Mr. Lotzenheiser, do you have directions for people?
I do, and I'm so excited to share them with you tonight. We're going to do a little team building activity. We do this. I think it's important when we look at team building, our goal is to make connections. That's what we do. And if you look, that's one of our core values, connections. And so anytime that we do a team building activity with our leadership team, or we ask them to model it on campuses, we're trying to make connections with other people, because when you have that connection, it's easier for communication. It's easier to understand where they're coming from, and it builds our team and builds our camaraderie as a whole. So I appreciate your patience as we go through this tonight. It's very, very exciting. And you guys all passed the first test. You have a couple pieces of paper that it said, do not look under, and I did not see anyone looking under that. So that was the first thing. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to do a self-assessment about leadership called the Leadership Compass. Many people have probably already done this before, where we're going to answer a few questions individually, and then we're going to talk as a group. We might be getting up, we might be moving, we might be having some individual conversations about our leadership styles and our leadership preferences. So the first thing I would like you to do, and this is, I'm going to give you about, 4.5 minutes perhaps. I'd like you to complete, go ahead and you can look underneath the white sheet now, but don't look at the orange one. Just the white, no, just the white one. You'll notice on the front and the back there are a series of questions or statements. What I'd like you to do is go through, take your time, check the statements, and then you'll see off to the side it says number of checked boxes. For instance, I'm looking at the one that says north. You're just going to total your number of checked boxes and write it down. So I'm going to ask that you do that, and when you're finished, if you'd look up and look and try to make eye contact with me, then I know when it's safe for us to move on. Do both sides. There are 4 compass points. Go. For those of you guys who are already done, I'll let you get started on the next step. For those of you who aren't done, keep working. We got plenty of time. Sherry told me I had 25 to half an hour.
Mr. Lotzenhauser, that is incorrect.
I'm sorry, I have 10 minutes, and we will use them all. I wish I had some music. It's a little awkwardly silent in here, but feel free to whistle and or sing, President Schultz. So if you want to take a look at the side that says approaches to work in style, go ahead and find the one that's yours, read through those, and then just highlight one that really strikes a chord with you. So you've found the one that is your highest. So take a look at it. Look at that list on approaches to worker style. Read through those and see if there's one that really strikes a chord. You're like, I can get, that is me. That is me. Maybe there's more than one, but highlight one and we'll be discussing it.
Mr. Lotzenheiser, is this correct? May lose focus on goals?
I'm sorry, I didn't bring my glasses. I had a hard time reading. But hey, if everybody would like to return to your seats.
Seriously, very fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I just close it up real quick?
Yes.
You know, I think the important thing, as my group reminded me, it's not to look at somebody and try to figure out something, but it's truly making that connection and seeing part of yourself in somebody else, or helping understand and know where they came from, so we can open lines of communication. I loved in our group, one of our members is like, wow, I feel like I'm being very vulnerable here, that I'm sharing what it is. And I think that vulnerability helps build camaraderie, helps build teamwork, and again, helps us, I would say, focus on the task at hand, but as a South, I would say focus on the relationships that we build to support each other. So thank you for indulging in this. Next retreat, we can do spirit animals and have a great time with that one. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, I move that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Information items, strategic plan update 5.1.
President Schultz, members of the board, we're excited this evening to share updates on our focus goals for this school year. You'll have all the people in this table area presenting information to you tonight, and I'm really pretty impressed with everything we've done, and it's November 1st. So we'll start with Dr. Lindsay.
Good evening, President Schultz, members of the board. I have the opportunity to start and also be the clicker tonight, so hopefully I can multitask here. The first strategic anchor we're going to review is teaching and learning student success, focusing specifically on the work that we've done with our instructional maps to date. So instructional maps provide pacing of the academic standards, and they also support consistency across our schools in terms of when things are taught throughout the year. They're fluid, so maps are meant to be routinely updated. Last year, if you recall, our district coaches and some teachers worked to create initial drafts of the core content areas with math and language arts, science and social studies. And this year, our action step is to develop and implement instructional maps for all our specials areas and elective courses. So we started that work this fall, and we started with elementary. So in early September, we had our instructional coaches and a representative from each of our special areas within elementary, including general music, band, orchestra, art, PE, and media, meet together here in this room, and they began to flesh out instructional maps for each content area. So the coaches were paired up with representatives from each of those content areas. And then those teachers went back to their PLCs, and then they shared the work that had been done and received feedback from them, and then they continued to flesh them out. December, they're all coming back here again with our instructional coaches, and this is also being facilitated by Mary Davis, our Director of Professional Development. And they're coming back here again to incorporate the revisions that they made, and I don't want to say finalize because they're never really finalized, but get them to a place where we're ready to share out with all of the teachers within the district. So by January that will happen, they'll be shared, and then we're going to start the process again with our secondary schools for electives in secondary.
All right, President Schultz, members of the board. Focus on 1.3, providing guidance and support for college and career readiness. We've had an opportunity to partner with the ASU Helios Decision Center for Educational Excellence in their personalized admission project. This was started in 2021 with Phoenix Union High School District and now consists of more than 14 districts across the state, including Chandler and us. Students are proactively accepted into ASU, U of A, and NAU who meet the requirements for admission. They receive a letter of acceptance from all three of those universities based on eligibility and allows the family and student to make the decision to accept or not. So rather than the student having to go out and apply to the college, ASU, U of A, and NAU basically say, you have done everything you need in order to attend our university. We've already accepted you. The goal being to identify students that may not traditionally go to college, but have everything that they need in order to go to college. So those letters went out to our seniors last month, and then sophomores and juniors will also receive a letter basically saying, here's if you're on track to be accepted, or here's what you need to do in order to be accepted. So it's a great program, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Can I ask, do we have like an idea of what percentage of our high school seniors meet these requirements? If
I can
not, that's
get that
fine.
for you.
I'm just curious. Seeing as I taught seniors, I think that's.
So Board Member Wade, we can get that and put it in status. Yeah, great question.
So one of our goals is to increase information for parents as well about the FAFSA, and so the financial aid that we ask parents to complete, and we think it's a very, very important project for them to be able to complete that when their kids are preparing to go to college. And so this year, with the help of Dina Morgan and her group, we have added more nights, and we're trying to track numbers of people who attend, so we're asking people to sign up ahead of time, and then we'll know who comes in. And so we had one in October, and that's where we had our 36 parents and 5 students attended the FAFSA night. We're planning 2 per site, one each in the spring and one in the fall. And the whole goal is to get this awareness out and to help people when they're going to complete the FAFSA. It's really about knowledge, and it's knowledge about supporting parents. Because if your kid is ready, now that they might be accepted to ASU, U of A, or NAU already off the bat, what's that next step? Get that FAFSA done so they know if they're eligible for financial aid and grants. And so how can we help and support parents? And so we'll have those labs and those nights available, run by our college and career specialists. Additionally, they've added lunch and learn webinars that they promote, where if a parent wants to get on during lunch on Fridays, and it's not every Friday, but certain Fridays, where they can also help explain what's happening. I know our next lunch and learns are going to be in December. And so the whole goal, once again, is to increase communication, increase knowledge, help support parents, because that financial aid is out there and it's available, and so help them complete that FAFSA so that they can be prepared for that.
All right. Additionally, with 1.3 and providing guidance and support for college and career readiness, the State Board of Education for Arizona has approved 4 different seals that students can earn as they go through high school, 9th through 12th grade, and graduate with that seal on their diploma. And those are the seal of biliteracy, the seal of personal finance, civics literacy, and arts proficiency. Historically, as a district, we've done a lot with the seal of biliteracy. The requirements there, basically, our students are already engaged in those requirements, going through our world language programs and using the STAMP test. Personal finance, civics literacy, and arts proficiency haven't been as widely used by our students. So Mary Davis has been working with her coach team and secondary administrators to start to build some more awareness around those seals and start helping students to identify what they can do in order to earn those seals.
President Schultz, board members, with our CTE programs, one of our focuses for our strategic goal 1.3 on the guidance and support for college and career readiness is really increasing the rigor of our CTE programs and the outcomes of those programs. So currently all of our programs are offering most of our programs are offering dual enrollment. All of our programs are offering an industry credential or multiple industry credentials. And so those industry credentials are really what tells a business that our students have completed a program and are prepared to do entry-level work in their industry. So you can see here the list of the different industry credentials that are offered in each of the programs. On our next page is how we're doing in attainment of those. So, if we look at industry credentials over the last few years, in 18-19, we had 82 students who graduated in that year receive a credential. In 19-20, that we dropped to 6, and primarily because industry was not ready to do industry credentials remotely. And so there was very few credentials that we could get during the COVID era. The next year, we jumped to 126. In 21-22, we had 384 seniors graduate with a credential, and last year we had 460 seniors graduate with a credential.
Thank you for sharing this. These, we get a lot of data and information. It looks just like numbers, but this is life-changing for these students that have that ability. It gets that ball rolling and that motivation and helps them to keep moving forward because it doesn't just stop. So this is great. Thank you. Well done to everybody.
Thank you. That's primarily due to the efforts and the professionalism of our teachers. So.
Yes.
Can I throw something in there real quick? Mr. Pearson has done a wonderful job. If you look at that comprehensiveness of our CTE programs and the offerings that we have with our students, this is fantastic. This is a great job. And so I want to publicly thank Craig for his leadership in that. And then our teachers, there's an investment in there. So to be a CTE teacher, you also have to be a part of a CTSO. You have to do extra out-of-school opportunities for them to help grow these students to reach these credentials. And when we talk school to work and career readiness, this is a direct effect, and we're having a direct impact on our community because of what's happening within our CTE programs, and it's fantastic. So, Ms. Anderson, thank you for pointing that out, but well done.
Yes, and I'd like to say that I love seeing this and the opportunity for kids to be able to participate in CTE, because not all kids want to go to, regular university and would prefer the technical side of it. But now, as far as their credentials, is that through the district or through EVIT?
All of those credentials are offered here at the district. So our CTE department funds all of those for the students. So no students are paying for their certification. It's all paid for through the district.
Okay, whether they go to EVIT or here?
Yeah. Those 460 credentials are students that completed a satellite program. They're not inclusive of students that went to EVIT and completed a program there.
Okay, I'd love to know if we can include the kids that went to EVIT as well.
I can definitely get that information and we can put that in status.
That'd be wonderful, thank you.
Moving on to a focus on 1.5, supporting a collaborative culture using data and research-based practices. Mary Davis and I have had the opportunity this year to partner and work with our leadership at both the elementary and secondary level to look at our professional learning community practices and processes, really and leverage the adoption of our new assessment platform, DNA. To really start looking at how we are approaching kids. Later on, I'm going to share with you our report or our letter grades. We have some amazing schools in our district. The PLC process is a way for us to continue to keep that level of performance going on in our schools. So in July, we met with all of our leadership and reviewed our state achievement data, and then really looked at where they felt they are in terms of their performance as a school using something put together by Doug Reeves called the Leadership and Learning Matrix. Then in August, we had our DNA training. That was 4 days, 2 days with principals and site and district leadership, and then 2 days with all of our district coaches and site instructional support, and 2 teachers from each of our secondary sites to basically be the site trainers on using DNA with the sites. Then September, we went into, with our leadership, what's some of the research on highly performing schools, which really boils down to professional learning communities and collaborative work that teachers do. And then looked at those 4 questions of a PLC. What do we want students to know and be able to do? How will we know that? What will we do if they don't know that? And what do we do for those that already do know it? And then additionally, we had our first benchmarks completed, and so going out to all of our 3rd through 8th grade campuses and meeting with our principals to really start looking at DNA and the reports that we get out of DNA. If you're not familiar, DNA stands for data and assessment, and it's really the data side of DNA where we have a lot of power at our fingertips. The reports that we get are amazing and allow us to really dive down into student learning. And then this past October, we went into the big picture of the PLC process. What does that look like for a site, and how can they start looking at that? And then we started diving into that first question, which is, what do we want students to know and be able to do? And the process that we talked about with principals was unwrapping standards, which basically takes a state standard, identify the nouns and the verbs, and then to really break that down into, as we look, if you look at state standards, they're very dense. And so pulling them apart and really looking at what each of those parts needs to happen, what needs to happen with each of those parts, and where that level of rigor needs to be. And then ultimately, for the whole standard, where do we need to be assessing kids? So moving forward, we'll move into common formative assessment and then look at instructional strategies for intervention and differentiation.
All right, moving on into strategic anchor 2. The special education department, when looking at the strategic plan, took some time to really look at the areas that they wanted to focus on. And one that we identified was 2.2, and that was creating more of a comprehensive professional growth plan for all employees. We felt we had done a really good job with our certified staff in providing professional development that was relevant to their positions, but our paraprofessionals in the classroom had really struggled because we weren't really providing them any type of comprehensive PD that was relevant to their day-to-day activities with students. And so Emily Harrison and Rachel Kupek, 2 of my instructional specialists, worked a little bit during the summer and really diligently at the beginning of the year to put together a consistent PD calendar for our paraprofessionals. The first one was on July 20th, and that was district-wide. Every paraprofessional in the district attended that. And then on August 2nd, they put together another one that was just for preschool and elementary, because we recognized that the paraprofessionals at the secondary were a little bit different than the elementary, and we didn't want to do that canned PD approach where they weren't getting what was relevant to them. And so they did 2 separate ones, one for high school and middle school, and then one for the preschool and elementary. We have trained over 100 paraprofessionals through these trainings multiple times, and we will continue to do so. The feedback that we've received back is amazing. They are super appreciative of the opportunity to come in, to receive this PD that is relevant to their day-to-day activity, and we're actually able to see them take what they're learning in those PDs and implement them in the classroom with our students. So it's been really effective.
Shauna, is that the training began this year, the school year, or you had been doing it prior?
Years ago, we had a paraprofessional PD, and as the department's grown and with all of the things that we've endured over the last 5 years, it kind of fell to the wayside. It wasn't our primary focus, and my team just felt that this year it was an area we wanted to get back to. Our paraprofessionals play a huge role in our classrooms, and we felt that it was only fair and super important to provide them the opportunity to grow within their profession as well. And so wanted to value them the way that we do our certified staff.
Excellent. And it would be good to see, be able to track retention rates that go along with this as well. Not even just staff, but even student, because they're feeling, one feels like they're able to do their job well, and the other feels like they're getting the services they need. Well done. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
And then also continue on for the same focus area for the highly effective personnel. One of the needs we found was that our security department, our security team, were in need of some standardization, and so we developed some district standards for the security team that we have employed at the secondary level. We implemented annual professional development sessions for them. We brought the whole team together before school started, and then we sat down and we carved out a plan to give them annual trainings. So security specific, they were trained on use of AEDs, CPR, first aid, drug overdose response, crowd management, de-escalation, security basics. Along with that, a security manual was created and implemented with guidelines and job standards. And then we're implementing this year as well ongoing professional development sessions with them based on feedback from both the security team and their supervisors. And so Mr. Dolan is going to assist, and we're going to bring the security team in on early release days in November and December, and then again in semester 2 to cover some of the areas that they're seeking some improvement on. And then we've also standardized a uniform standard across the board for all secondary sites. And so the security guards will be in visible, brightly colored security gear, so they're easy to spot.
Okay, building on this same exact focus, also another action step is to provide targeted training in PD for administrators to ensure inter-rater reliability with the Danielson evaluation instrument. So if you recall, last year was our first year of our new teacher evaluation tool that is based on Charlotte Danielson's framework for teaching. So this is obviously our second year of implementation. And what we're really working on now is the inter-rater reliability, and we do that through calibration. So just to kind of explain inter-rater reliability, it's the consistency between the performance levels assigned by evaluators resulting from the process of coming to consensus on collecting evidence and then assigning that evidence to specific components within the Danielson framework for teaching and then assigning a performance level. So if we go into the same classroom, are we seeing the same things, and are we aligning it to the right aspects of Danielson, and then are we consistent with how we would assign a performance level? So in order to do that, in August, all of our administrators went through a training with a consultant from the Danielson group. We were all here in this room, and we did some review on the framework, and then we spent some time in a whole group. And then we went out to our sites on the 16th and 17th in small groups, and they began to practice. So we are super grateful. Some teachers said, you can come into my room and practice. And the intent was not for us to evaluate that teacher, but really our purposes of professional development. So a small team would go into a classroom, they would observe and collect evidence, we'd come back, we would, and this was facilitated by a trainer, we would calibrate based on the framework and what we saw and assign a performance level if we were going to be evaluating that teacher. And then we're repeating the process throughout the course of the year, and the schools are in the same groups consistently through the year. So it's also building culture among them, and they're talking about, just things that come up and, what should be assigned where. So it's job embedded PD for them, and it's been really valuable.
Also part of the focus area is that we've re-engaged the Higley Leadership Academy for this year. So Higley Leadership Academy, just a quick background, was started in 2014, and it served as a principal preparation program, essentially seeking to look for building site leaders. Went back through last year when we pulled all past participants, and then we surveyed them about what worked, what didn't, and how can we reinvigorate the program. So this year it's been brought back. It's been brought back as a program that seeks to build leadership, not just build a position, but so it's open to anybody, not just somebody who's aspiring to be a building leader. We began the session in October. We have 42 participants. Covers topics such as finance, human resources, school district operations, law, policy, and governance, public relations, marketing, and then leadership development. And so it's back in effect. It got off to a good start. The feedback we received from past participants was really good, and one of the highlights of it this year is that the sessions are now led by prior participants who have been part of the program in the past. So it's developed into a leader-led program by people who have already participated in the program.
Continuing on.
I'm sorry, real quick before we move on. So you said it's open to anybody that's employees or anybody outside the district? Like
No, it's open
community
for,
members?
no, it's for employees only.
Perfect, thank you.
So next, keeping with Strategic Anchor 2, we are starting our process of finding training and development for our classified employees. This coming November, actually next week, we will have our first customer service training for our classified employees. This group will consist mostly of our office managers and those who are forward-facing to the public. And we'll invite those folks, we have already invited them, to come join us for a customer service training. This is just one example of what we'll be doing in the future as well.
Moving on to Strategic Anchor 3, another area that we feel is especially important in special education is communication and community relations. We decided to get our story out there more, and we developed an Instagram, which you can see the symbol up there to follow us, and it's an opportunity for us to highlight our teachers and students and all the positive things that they're doing. I do not manage that. Kristen Nash does, because she is my social media guru. But she's able to put a lot of stuff up there, and families are really liking the opportunity to see the successes of their students in that public forum. The other thing that we've done is continue our special education parent university. This is something that we started last year and was an opportunity for us to come together with our special education parents and present on topics that are relevant to them. And this year, our first topic is what is special education. That was on September 13th. We had a really good attendance at that, and that was an opportunity for us to explain kind of what special education does, what the purpose of special education is, and what it is not. And then also speak with families about what some of the other options are out there for supports for their student. Our next training is scheduled for November 29th, and you can see some of the possible topics, but we've actually narrowed this down. We are going to have someone come in from vocational rehab to speak with our families about options that are available post-secondary for kids after they leave high school, what is available for supports and services out in the community as far as work and independent living goes. We're also going to be bringing in DDD and pre-ETs as part of that presentation, just to ensure that our families are better prepared when they do graduate on what that next step is for their special education student. So it's been very, very successful with a lot of really positive feedback.
Mrs. Miller, I believe, Mrs. Richards, you said that this was also attended by people outside of the district, that you had some people because they were so good.
It was. So our last university in September, we had 2 parents from outside the district. They were from Chandler that actually came to listen to our presentation because they had heard about what it was, and they were excited for that opportunity and felt that even though they weren't in our district, that the topic was relevant. So
That's great. Have any other districts reached out to you or anything since, or I wonder if those parents went back to Chandler and said, we need this, in Chandler?
not yet.
Okay. I'm sure it's coming. It sounds like a great program. Thank you.
And I just want to add, it was great, and I've shared before that I wish I had it when my kids were younger. And even from the last one I attended, it helped me as far as my daughter going off to college, so.
Great, thank you.
It was great.
Sorry. Ms. Miller, one question. These parent universities, are they by age or grade level, or is it just?
It really depends on the topic. So for example, the September 13th topic was relevant to anyone, whether you have a student in special ed, whether you think you may have a student that would qualify for special ed, or if you're a parent who was recently evaluated and your student didn't qualify and you don't understand why. So that really covered the all age levels. Our next one is going to be geared more towards that post-secondary, so that middle school, high school age. We will be advertising it as such, but also saying if you want to get a jump on things or you have questions on what do I need to prepare for, what do I need to do beforehand, anybody can come, but it will be geared more towards that post-secondary. I'm also asking that some of our high school and middle school teachers and school psychologists attend as well, because I think a lot of parents that can't attend are still going to need this information. And so I think it's super important for my staff to understand that so that they can relay that in IEP meetings as well. So we're kind of trying to get the information out to parents in a multitude of ways.
Okay, all right, thank you. It's good to know that it is organized somewhat by grade level, because you go to the one and your kids in elementary school, and then the emotions change and things can become very different and very real as they get to the secondary level. So it's great that you're not just trying to encompass it all in one. They go to one, they think they know, we think we get everything, and then we're like, holy cow, it's a whole new kid.
We spend quite a bit of time after the presentation is over and make sure that we allow enough time for those parents to have that one-on-one time as well to ask those individual questions. We also provide an opportunity for parents to leave their questions, and then we call them and have that one-on-one conversation so that they're given the amount of time that they need and they don't feel pushed off or like the time was not well spent.
Okay, as we continue to focus on 3.2, it's been a big deal this year to market our district. We promote the district, our schools, and all the great things that are going on. This, in turn, attracts students, employees, businesses, and community partners. I want to shout out to our current team of 3 PR who have really, when I'm on looking at whether it's X or Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, I see more and more posts. And sometimes I see things and I'm like, I didn't even know that, you know? So they're running in front of it and they're really working to celebrate employees. That includes certified and classified staff, students specifically in their achievements, school events, and campus and student life in general, things that happen here at the district office. And then when cabinet and the board goes to visit schools, we try to highlight that as well. So tonight you approved Jessica Batista, who will be our new marketing and PR director. She is going to start on November 13th. She's joining us from Queen Creek, so we're super excited. In addition, Mark Quinones will be our multimedia specialist, and he will take over a lot of those duties that Curtis did. So our team of 3 is going to be a team of 5. So really good things going on. And I can't say enough about this district and our teachers and our parents, everybody, so.
Ms. Richards, forgive me if you've already stated this. Will we be receiving analytics or anything on the
I'm
hits?
sorry,
Will we be receiving any data or analytics on the social media sites, the hits, which ones were popular?
Yeah, I think that that'll be really important data for us to have moving forward, because we've never had this laser focus to this degree. So yes, we can get that. In connection, we had our business partners breakfast, and this room was full of community partners, and it's like every day I think we meet somebody new and they want to come join us. I met the girl that works with the Coyotes, Arizona Coyotes, and she was excited to potentially be a community partner. Our next breakfast will be on February 27th. 2024, if you can believe it's going to be 2024. So we're excited about that, and if people watch this or out here and they know businesses that would like to join us, please let us know.
And then finally, for Strategic Anchor 4, the next few slides will be focusing on 4.3 to ensure districts are safe, secure, well-maintained, and have the appropriate resources to ensure student success. So some of the main things we want to highlight for you today is the installation and the deployment of our new security cameras. So we were fortunate to have that approved a couple meetings back, and then we've already have begun the process. You can see a couple of these pictures, just kind of give an example of the change that's immediately received when the cameras were installed. So that's a before and after shot from the same camera vantage point with the old camera and the new camera. Next slide just provides similar situation, old camera and new camera. So you can see the clarity is much improved, and we know the technology advances rapidly, so it's very important that we stay in tune with that, and this is going to help us to be ensure our campus buildings are more secure, better monitored, and then not only does it have a better clarity, but it also has better analytics and the ability to utilize them as a safety tool. The next one, continuing with the same area, we deployed this year a formal visitor management system. So we launched in July of 23, and this was as of last week. We logged 12,705 visitor sign-ins to our campuses around the school district. So that's another important piece. It keeps that archive. We have access to that whenever we need. All staff, when they visit a campus, are logged in for building access, and then all visitors are screened and provided a visitor badge when they come to a campus. We began by initial training for the sites, and then we let it start up, and then we surveyed all the campuses to see their needs, created a needs assessment as a result. Overall favorable reception to the process. Staff were able to rate the tool, rated it a 4.37 out of 5 on ease of use, and then a 4.23 out of 5 on the increase of the feeling of campus safety. From that, the assessments, we created a needs assessment, created FAQs, and then we just stay in tune with how we can support with both the process and the hardware, and working with IT and facilities to make sure that we maintain a standard for visitor management. We also knew this year, we've discussed prior, we've developed and implemented the standard response protocol. All rooms in the school district have a laminated version of this poster with the protocol. There's been extensive training across the board. All staff, students, every department has received direct training as a result. And then in addition to the room posters, every staff member was given a smaller version to have as part of their daily setup in their classrooms. And then the continued training is ongoing, and then we're using this information to still build upon our protocols and our communication. So favorable received. It was something that we're really in need of standardizing this process across the board, so we have common language. So our students that go from preschool to elementary school to middle school to high school have the same process, and they learn all the way through. Staff members that rotate between campuses have the same expectation, substitutes, visitors, et cetera. It keeps that process standardized, so very important for school safety protocols. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to highlight for the start of this year is beginning this past summer, we refreshed our two-way radio infrastructure across the district. So we worked with a vendor, we assessed our needs, we were able to then update the equipment that we use with forward thinking, because we were on an analog system before. Now we have a dual system that's analog digital capable. We still had enough analog radios that it didn't make any sense to dispose of them because they're still usable, but that someday they'll become obsolete, and when they do, we're prepared to make that switch. So the inventory that we have now works on both analog and digital, but when it's time to refresh again, the most recent update will still be in use, and then we'll be able to add to that. So it was a cost-effective measure to merge existing usable equipment during the refresh. Also gave us a better understanding of our timelines, increased the use, the clarity, and then just the potential to be able to communicate better in emergencies, as well as just regular day-to-day operations. And so it's used across all campuses, all sites, all departments. Is something that's very important. So.
I just want to say thank you for the cameras at the district office. And I want to find out how long the recording is and how long do we hold on to that?
Sure.
You don't have to answer me now, but I don't know if you have the information. And then also, when we first discussed the cameras, I had asked if they would be open to a FOIA request. Did you find out?
It is open to requests, but then there's also limitations based on FERPA, so it's really relative to the specific instance, so.
So like, let's say there's a fight, students involved in a fight, and the parent would like to get a recording of the incident.
Yeah, there's potential to view the recordings as part of what FERPA allows for. We don't necessarily are able to like send out the video footage, but there are opportunities when footage can be inspected.
Okay.
But it's really relative to a specific instance, so it depends on the situation. As far as the capacity and the storage, I'd have to get back to you on specifics. It's also relative on how much is recorded and when, and where, you know, and the settings that's internal about the. I'm drawing a blank on the term, but it's like the 1080p, the resolution. The higher the resolution, the higher the file size is, the longer it archives, the smaller it is. So it depends on that as well. So.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. President Schultz, Mr. Marcus Berkshire, or if you're ready to say we're ready to move on, I think I'm jumping around.
I wasn't sure if that was it, but thank you very much. I, as a North, then I love the action side of Mr. Lassie. You're welcome. I brought it back. I appreciate your team building. So I love the action and all the work that everyone's doing. And I echo what Mr. Lotzenheiser said about Mr. Pearson and the CTE program. I always see such great things and the good things you're doing, and everybody's doing with all the different programs and security and leadership and everything. So thank you very much. Anyone else have anything else? Okay. Moving on to 5.2, school letter grades. This is a great report.
So there was a little north coming out over here. I apologize. But Marcus Berkshire has an exciting update for you this evening. Letter grades and district letter grades have been released. He's going to give you a brief overview, and then he'll come back in December with more data and, of course, bragging and comparing us to other districts.
Good evening, President Schultz, members of the board. As Ms. Richards said, letter grades were released on Friday afternoon around 5:00 p.m. For the public. So not enough time for us to do any kind of in-depth analysis prior to today. So today I'm just going to give you a brief overview of our letter grades. They are public on our district webpage. I want to compliment our Student Information System Manager, Brian Campbell, for the work that he did in putting that all together. It's beautiful. If you have a chance, take a look at it. I think it's the class of the state in terms of reporting of letter grades. So if you want to go to the next slide. So letter grades are broken up by K-8 and 9-12. So what you see in front of you here are our K-8 letter grades. Celebration for us, we saw 3 sites move from a B to an A this year. Coronado, Cortina, and Sossaman Middle School all moved up this year, so that's great. So out of all of our sites, we've only got 2 Bs. The rest are all As. 9-12 and hybrid. Hybrid schools are schools that serve both K-8 and 9-12. So Higley Virtual Academy, because it's got, last year it had 3rd through 8th graders attending. Next year it'll still have 7th and 8th graders, so it'll always be a hybrid school, but they use the same cut scores as the 9-12 does. So all 3 of those sites were A's this year. HVA didn't have a letter grade last year because it was its first year as a school. So congratulations to HVA for their A. It's a great accomplishment because a lot of those online programs, it's hard with that hybrid model for them to reach that A point. So great compliment to Mr. Dolan and his staff. And then finally, for us as a district celebration, we are an A-rated school district. So this is the first year that school districts receive a letter grade. And so a great accomplishment for us. And we can all pat ourselves on the back for that one. So, and that's my presentation. Are there any questions?
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'll be back in December with a whole lot more.
Okay, wonderful. We look forward to it. Thank you very much. This is great. It was very exciting to see on social media and everything, everyone talking about how great Higley was and the great letter grades that I saw and the news stories. So kudos to all of you. Thank you, and everyone. Moving on to superintendent's 5.3 superintendent search update.
President Schultz, members of the board, just some brief information about the search at this point. As of last Friday, there was over 850 surveys taken on the 31 qualities from various parents, students, administration, the board members, a full breakdown I have available if you're interested in that. We're also currently working on the flyer still for the recruitment of the superintendent, and we're just rounding the corner on that. We should be done any time with that flyer, and that is utilized for recruitment through Ray and Associates. We started our focus groups today, and Dr. Lindsay said that the students were here and totally engaged. I'm really happy to hear that. They were engaged with Ray and Associates and their members. Dr. Goodwin was here, and so that led that focus group. We also had some parent focus groups, and if you're still interested or anyone's interested in a focus group, there is more sessions tomorrow and Friday. How you can find out when those sessions are, they're on the front page of our website. You just click on the button and it'll tell you exactly when the in-person or the Zoom experience is taking place. As far as moving forward, we will still need to, when the board meets on the 15th, we will be deciding, the board will be deciding what the salary will be. Some information's been shared with the board already, and then the minimum qualifications for our next superintendent. Any questions?
Did everybody meet with Ray and Associates individually?
I know that several people have. I did not have time today.
So are they supposed to reach out to us, or are we supposed to reach out to them?
I believe you were supposed to reach out to them. Or no, they're supposed to reach out to you.
Yes, so I received a text message about 6 o'clock last night asking for a phone call today, and I was not able to. So, and I think from nodding your heads, you received phone calls?
Phone calls.
Mrs. Reese, did you receive a phone call?
Okay.
Did you receive your?
Member Van Hoek, I'll look into that and make sure they reach out to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay?
It was, or today. Oh, so maybe they're spacing it out because mine was not till last night. I think yours was this morning. Did you say? Oh, I didn't hear you.
I got a text last night.
Okay.
And then I set it up for today.
Okay. I'll make sure that they get in touch. Any other questions?
I've heard good feedback. I think there's some initial, I don't know if you call it confusion, just where do you find the survey? Was it sent out? Is it posted? But hearing that we're at 850 and possibly still growing, that's really, really good. And I hadn't even looked at the survey that went out to the public. It's nice to see that the non-parent community member can fill it out. And I didn't even think about it until I was talking to another parent that there's parents that don't even live in the district, but their kids go here, and it's great that that's open. You know, they feel comfortable. We realize, you know, you're not in the district, but you're still affected by it, and then, you know, our business partners, you know, it's good. The outreach of our superintendent is beyond the building. So I'm just so happy that people can participate. And I do look forward to the breakdown of it, like Trilogy. Do we have numbers from Trilogy? Because we've got volunteers that work in, you know, grandparents that are in Trilogy, you know, bus drivers, and a lot of individuals that would benefit. We would love their input. And just to get the word out, because it says on here it closes November 6th, so TikTok. I don't know if we're going to push one last time, or if there's going to be anything sent out to the community, just, hey, this is it.
We can do that through marketing. They have email addresses also for parents. That's the methods we've been using, plus the website and social media. So we'll push it one last time. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, at this time, I think that we're going to take a little break, and then we will move on to 6.1, Governing Board Self-Assessment.
So cold.